Pro speakers. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. We had to update our audio connections. Hi, I'm Lisa Benson, owner of DeBella DeBall Designs, and today we have brought on a wonderful guest. It's my husband.
Hi, I'm Rick Benson. I'm Lisa Benson's husband.
We're going to talk about project management, which is actually Rick's expertise. It's one of the things he does for our company as well as for other companies. So I'm going to ask him a few questions, then we'll bring it back to what marketing does, and then we'll wrap it up. All right. First of all, Rick, what is the most crucial aspect of project management?
Ooh. It's all encompassing, but I would say, first of all, you want to define the goals, have clear communication, know who your stakeholders are, meaning who's involved. It could be anyone, anything, but really look at resource allocation. What are risks? How do we manage them? And then make sure we stay within our scope.
Awesome. Well, I know for marketing, there's some general things that we have to think about, but also there's some things that are specific to marketing that you don't do in general project management. So that's where we focus on the creative aspect of it all. We have the creative process can be a little bit cumbersome. So we want to make sure that we're addressing that the process and the timeline. What do we need? How do we define it? That involves coordination of multiple different channels the content goes out, but also channels of people that work within. So I know at your company, you guys have, you do video production. So you have the people that have to do the actual creation, but the voiceovers, and what else do you have to think about?
So great point. So with that, when you're looking at, resources and internal, external communication, it's direct communication with your customer to make sure that you have their intent because you're building it for acceptance. You're also trying to complete it on time, on target, also within your budget, but really having the skill sets and the tools help. But you got to have the right people in there to make the video, to get the content, and to make sure that your customer's satisfied ultimately at the end of the day.
So I know for us, we use ClickUp as one of our project management tools. We're going to talk now about what we recommend for effective project management. I use ClickUp.
I use Jira at work, but ClickUp when I work with Lisa.
But there's also things like Asana, Trello, Monday. There are endless options that are available to you. You have to see which one works the best for you. I chose ClickUp just because I like the way that it operates. It fits my brain, and now with all the dashboard availability, it's amazing. I think Jira has some dashboards.
Dashboards also, and really, once you click up to Jira, for me was fairly easy, just because it's similar enough where it's almost intuitive, and using stuff like Google Analytics and other search features, it really starts to tie in, and you're able to, mesh it up pretty quick. So really, I'd say the learning curve has been shortened as far as jumping to these different products.
Now, for communication tools with our company, we use Slack. There's things like Google Chat.
Yeah, Teams, and then a lot of the commercial off the shelf now are just used.
Mm-hmm. Some people use Discord. We use that for one of our joint client friend of ours that we do work with. And then you've got ways to make your insights. Rick talked about Google Analytics earlier. That's for your marketing insights. You can actually connect that through API to half of those project management tools we talked about, or you can develop the KPI dashboard in there. And then there's time tracking tools. We use the one that's available in ClickUp. I don't know what you guys use for yours.
I do it manually still. I would love to probably play with ClickUp and automate some of that process, just because it allows visibility across the team, and you're not relying on we hang it in a shared point so everyone can see it, but it's a very manual process the way I do the time now. So I could improve there.
So there are some places, or there's some software like Clockify that'll work with most of those project management tools, Toggle, Harvest, and some other PM software or some other stuff that's out there. How do you handle scope creep? How do you handle scope changes when you're project management?
Advise them to stay on target, on task, and on budget. But projects are going to change with time. I give you standard answers, and I sort of smile because if you're building something that's outdated or the customer wants, you have to really figure out what do they want. But you're shifting gears, right? So it's establishing that change management, also making that covenant, saying we're moving from what we agreed to first to now we're in this new covenant, which may push timelines, resources, and budgets. outside of what we expected them to be. There's ways to streamline that using some of the tools that we've spoken about earlier, but really it comes down to who your project sponsor is, getting their buy-in, and then working with your stakeholders, trying to keep it on track online.
So do you find that some stakeholders and the person that's, I know you guys use Scrum and you have a project owner or project manager, um, that they don't always see eye to eye, so then you're constantly bouncing?
Often they don't see eye to eye. They'll see something somewhere else and be like, "Hey, I want that." They'll show me a picture or a website and be like, "This is the type of video we want." And I'm like, "They have a full production company that uses 25 people, and my team's roughly 10 right now." So
And
yeah,
then our
all the
team at
time.
DeBella DeBall Design is 3.
3. But it can be done. That's
Mhm.
the one thing, you'll be amazed. I don't want to talk too much about my military time, but what I learned in the military was if you have a small dedicated team, you can get a lot of stuff done.
Yep.
So
And everybody's when your team's small, you tend to connect and click and get things going the way they need to do. So now we're going to talk about some common challenges that we deal with in the marketing side of the house. I know that's not necessarily your speed. That's balancing your creativity with deadlines. Sometimes you get so in the weeds with something, you don't hit the deadline. You don't hit your mark. And when you don't hit your mark, you don't tend to make your clients happy. So that's one of the things that we do. That's why we love using ClickUp, because ClickUp will send me errors, emails, everything to say, hey, you're not where you're supposed to be. Because we created, thanks to Rick's help, we have benchmarks. And then obviously you can build out bug reports and things like that. We're not that detailed yet, but we will be as we continue to grow. Coordinating the process across all marketing channels. What that means is if we're developing a video, it's easier for 3 of us. I'll fully say that, because if something's not working or something needs to take priority, as long as it's not putting another task behind, we can pull somebody and move them into there. Managing client expectations. In a marketing agency, client expectations are constantly moving. So you need to make sure that you have solidified what the client's goals are so that you can help keep them on track. And that's where the scope creep tends to come in.
yep.
And then keeping up with marketing trends and market trends in general and technology advancements. That's why we went with high level, because high level is an easy way for us to consolidate all of the efforts, all the visions, all the missions, so that we're all on the same page. All right. Our next question. How do you manage success? We do this in marketing, but I think they're pretty similar as what you do in your agency.
Exactly. So we're trying to figure out how do we the biggest bang for the dollar or the buck, and really that's clear, concise communication, figuring out what your key performance indicators are, what metrics you're going to have, and ultimately your return on investment. Is this new system going to save me enough time to justify the cost? Will it get me back on target if I'm behind on my schedule? Will the money that I spend on it put me outside of my budget? So always looking for that customer feedback. You know, I'll say it this way. You'll hear from customers when they're exceedingly happy and when they're exceedingly upset. It's really tough when you're just doing okay and pushing through. And that's an opportunity really to see if they're just pushing by, what can you bring to them to make their life easier? And honestly, that's how we make, upsales and add to the project, making them happy and get follow on work. So I'll let you talk about the marketing side
All
too.
right. So we as well look at KPIs, which
Okay.
are essential in like engagement rates, conversions rates, and the return on investment, because both, no matter where you're at, return on investment is important. And what you can do is analyze customer feedback and satisfaction, which Rich talked about, and then tracking social media metrics and website analytics. We're talking more than just the vanity metrics. We're talking the meat and potatoes. I like using Hotjar because it tells me when people bounce from a website. I wish they could do that for social media, but social media does that in itself because it tells you how long they're looking at something and how long people stay on, depending on which platforms you use. And then you compare the results against the initial goal. That's how you can tell them we've hit our benchmarks. We're going where we want to go. Marketing doesn't happen overnight, just like production doesn't happen overnight. So you have to make sure that you have that in mind, especially if you're the client or if you're the person that's developing the content. And then how important is the team collaboration and project management?
Team collaboration is absolutely essential. I would say communicate, 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 and that's collaboration. You're
Mhm.
always talking, always working together, and then
He's
surging.
always
Always talking. I
talking.
love to talk. But it also allows you to cross level knowledge, work for problem solving. And even though it seems like you're just talking, you're building efficiency, you're also building relationships, and that's going to foster a great climate to do good work.
Mhm. That's the same no matter where you're at doing your project management. The big thing is key is communication and making sure that everybody's goal is the same goal or similar goal. And then problem solving. Everything we do in marketing tends to be problem solving. What strategies do you ensure that your project stays on schedule?
Having a plan, set goals, and also that talking, right? Communicating and building confidence in the team so they know early on to say, hey, I'm not going to be able to do this, or I have a conflict or something. If you don't have that communication, especially with a small team, no one's going to be able to pick up the slack at the last minute. So if someone waits till 1 hour before it's due and says, hey, I can't get this to upload to the server, that's probably the wrong time to find out you're having server upload problems.
I love that. That's some things that I have to do because we have such a small team, but also we deal with many clients. Is we spend a lot of time planning and set realistic deadlines. I used to be a little bit short on my deadlines, so the turnaround put a lot of stress on me, which put stress on him because being married, we end up stressing each other out. Um, but we do regular check-ins with my team, which is me, Ann, and Rick, and then we do some status updates. We don't do actual meetings, but we do follow up and do things in ClickUp that allow us to track that or make messages or leave messages in Slack so that everybody has access to all the data.
Yeah, in that video, it really brings expression. You can see the person, and even if you end up in different time zones, you can see me drinking my cup of coffee, saying "Good morning" to you, and then
Mhm.
when they watch it, it may be in a great evening, but they know that I was up, moving, and contributing to the team.
The hardest thing for me though was not I prioritizing tasks because I want to get it all done and then delegating effectively.
Yeah,
I have a vision of what someone can do and that's not always their strongest suit. And then like we said, project management tools are the best thing that I have come across to help me keep my team on task. What about managing risks and project management?
uh, first of all, having your plan, sticking to it, but looking and saying, where do I see uncertainty? And we get too involved with risk as risk or ultimate failures. I like to look more at like opportunities and you say, hey, this is an opportunity. But risks definitely need to be in there and having a mitigation plan. If you know that something's due and you have a set aside of money or you're going to bring in a subcontractor or someone to help on the team, those are good mitigations, but you just can't assume. Well, we've tried, to say, hey, I'm just going to assume risk. I acknowledge it's there. We're just going to let it roll. But having that plan to mitigate really is critical as far as keeping a plan on track, preserving your time budget and your resources.
Yep, I would definitely say identifying potential risks early and planning in your planning process. I love to plan and overplan, so that's actually my sweet spot. I take that, put it all into ClickUp, and then Rick kind of creates the automations and the things that flow, so we can actually see if my deadlines and my ideas are accurate. Developing a risk mitigation strategy or contingency plans. Most of us have heard it as a contingency plan. Risk mitigation is more military-esque.
Yeah, but you can use it in some business sense too.
Mhm.
Insurance is a great risk mitigation practice.
Yeah, and then monitoring. Are there any new risks that pop up? That could be a team member leaves your team. And that could be that you haven't met with your team in a while as far as one-to-one, so you need to know what their satisfaction is. Because if not, you're gonna this day and age, people are just like, "Done. I'm out." Because they know there's somebody that's looking for their skill and willing to pay for their skill, maybe possibly pay more. And then communicating the risk to the team and the stakeholders.
Yeah.
Uh, there's no sense in planning and creating mitigation and contingency plans if you don't communicate it with the people that are involved in the decisions.
Yeah, because if your team doesn't know and something happens and you happen not to be at work, it's like you didn't have a plan at all. So
Mhm. So that could be, if somebody typically runs a meeting, you could have a secondary or a secondary and a third person that are there that can get the meeting started in case you're not there on time. Or God forbid you end up sick or you're on the road. We don't need anybody running a meeting from the road. That's not safe. And then what role does feedback play?
Feedback is you know, it's the joy if it's going well, and it's the bane sort of why didn't I hear this earlier? So I love feedback, but I realize that I need to solicit feedback almost instantaneously. It goes from when you first start making that initial plan. Well, how do you feel about that? Do you think we have enough money? So those are all critical conversations, but we need to really, it's not demand, but work to get our stakeholders and our partners and within our team comfortable to have candid and honest feedback instead of trying to sugarcoat it and make it sound perfect. But if you're just waiting for feedback at the end, you're either going to be super excited, oh, we did great, or you're going to be let down because from the beginning I suspected we didn't have enough money, and I'm telling you a year later. That's not really going to build make them happy as a product owner or a customer. So get the feedback early, get it often, and use your metrics.
So for us in my company, it's critical for continuous improvement. So one of the things I like to do is I ask them, what is it that you enjoy?
Yeah.
How can I help grow them? We're often willing to, Rick and I got some sales stuff, so sales training that we shared with the third team member, Ann, so that we could all be on the same page and see what people enjoy doing, and allow them to grow and thrive in that position. We can bring somebody else in to backfill, or I can backfill, depending on what it is, or Rick can backfill. Our team is a unit and it works very well. So continuous improvement and learning is a big thing because you want to stay on top of trends and targets. Help identify areas for enhancement and adjustment. I might not see something because I have tunnel vision, but somebody who's not working on the same project I am or in the same facet can say, hey, we need to allocate some resources here because I think we're falling in this spot. Encourage open communication and team involvement. I have quarterly check-ins set up, but we do monthly check-in where I just say, hey, are you happy? And I think my team is, well, he's going to tell me he's not happy, but Ann is pretty good at saying this isn't in my scope. I can't, this is out of what I'm able to do. She either asks to get trained in it or we move that into my ball or my ball in court and Rick's ball in court. And then we can look at all of the feedback we've gotten and say, we can put this on the future docket, or we're doing really well with it and we can execute this now or execute this in the future. So thanks for being on this today. It's nice to have somebody else on the call.
Yeah.
Probably in the future, you'll see him a little bit more. We're going to do more question and answers. So if there's anything you guys want to know about, please feel free to reach out. You can reach out at team@DeBella DeBall Designs, or you can reach out to hello@ or info, any of those. You're going to get a response from one of us. I want to thank you guys for being on. Again, if you're interested in looking at Go High Level, Click Up, any of that kind of stuff, please go ahead and schedule a 30-minute strategy session. It's complimentary. You're going to have it with me. We're going to see what works for your business. And maybe we'll look at possibly bringing you in to do a business intensive, to do a full audit of everything you've got going on so that we can really see how we can make your business thrive, not just survive.